Brahma Chalokadipati Sahampati Katanjali Yanadi Varangaya Chata Santi Dasata Parajaka Jatika Dese tu Dhammang Anukang Bimang Pajang.
The invitation. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So in terms of this convention of the occasion of an online retreat, we're coming towards a closure. Of course, as you recognize, the practice doesn't close, the Dhamma doesn't close, but conditions change. And we must be aware of the effect of this appearance of closure and the changes that can occur around that. And it's a time really recognizing this, because the way you make use of it, of a closure retreat, is you harvest. You realize, get the harvest in. And I think we talked a little bit about that in terms of mudita, appreciation, and amodana. Congratulation. Sounds strange, doesn't it? Because on the surface level, congratulations a bit icky, like school prizes or something. And nobody's here to win prizes, or get a pat on the back. It's not of that nature. But that one's heart, one has, done some work to enter the depths, which is a pretty rocky area at times. Is there anybody who doesn't have scars? Wounds and dents in that place. Anybody who's rock solid in that place. So, but we're entering that place. That already is massive. Like, you're being conscious of depth. That is already something to, my goodness, how wonderful that you have the interest, the wish, and the ability to be conscious. Some degree of depth. It's not just kind of throwing yourself out all over the place. You can sit still. Even your body doesn't really sit that still because it's uncomfortable, and your mind moves around. To your heart, in some ways, your heart is really trying to find stable, hold it together. Come on, hold it together. Using sati, mindfulness, and making mindfulness something about holding onto a point in your body, or some refined thought in your mind, or some refined realization, but just showing up, with a bit of right view, a smattering of right view, just bearing witness to what you can witness, with that sense of this is causes and effects, this is good, this is skillful, this is unskillful. And almost, first of all, we have to kind of just intellectually repeat the refrain, this is not myself, because first you don't really know what that really means, because it sure feels like me. But that's part of the process, is the more you can actually bear witness to this. Well, what's witnessing it? It can't be two me's here. It can't be me as a witness and me as a stuff. So maybe, oh yeah, who's that? Who's this? Who's that? That was my first kind of realization. I mean, I wouldn't like to call it a realization, it sounds much too profound, but my first question when I did my first 15 minutes of meditation in Thailand, just realizing my mind was a complete chaotic mess. And I sort of was looking at it, somehow aware of it. My mind is there's not a single still moment in this mind. There's not a single in-breath. There's not a single out-breath. There's not even half an in-breath. It's just sheer, like a menagerie gone crazy. Wow, I didn't realize it was that bad. Because on the surface, I could kind of get around, do stuff. I opened the door, geez, this is going on under the lid. So there's a feeling of, well, first of all, wow. And then secondly, like, well, who's witnessing this? Which is me. How can I? That was a sort of strange question. I've got to find out what this is about. I can't be too, I've got to look into this. So just on that, I thought, well, I better go to a monastery where I can get some little bit of restraint going, because the way I'm living, I wasn't doing anything that, out of the ordinary, really. But there was no boundaries, no collectedness. It's all going out. You're 25 years old as a young man. What do? You go out. Even though really what I wanted was in, I didn't know where that door was. So you're going out looking for an in. Maybe I'll find some amazing mystical experience out there. In India, it's all mystical. Buddhist country is all mystical, full of mystics. Well, after every tree is a mystic. Just find one, get it. Sort of naivety of youth. No, there's no mystic countries. The only mystic country is in your heart. And sometimes it's so mystic you don't want to go there. The territory, the inner territory. So, well, then okay, well, I just got to. This is with me, This is with me. I've got to meet this or deal with this somehow. I can't do it through going out. I better get some restraint going. I can't manage restraint. I know I can't do that. I go somewhere where it's kind of laid on. Get to a monastery. Get in there and So, right, okay. Oh, okay. They knew I was coming because I'd asked the monk who taught the retreat, the meditation class, if I could go to his monastery. He said, yeah, sure. Here's the address. So I turned up. They must have been aware. And that's amazing, isn't it? You're in Thailand and you're like some strange, straggly Westerner tumbles in at the gates and they're already saying, oh, okay, we're expecting you. Oh, here's a place you can stay. Wow, that's different, isn't it? Yeah, it's got boundaries around it, but if you're not politely on the door, okay, we'll give you a chance. So the next day, he took me to see the abbot. Spoke very little English. He said, oh, first of all, you have to bow. Bow, what's that? You have to bow. That's the proper thing to do. Okay, I'll bow. And he says, oh, what do you want? Why you come? What do you want? I said, oh, I just want to stop wanting things. And he said, oh, very good. Very good. You stay. You practice. You go there. Good. You go there. Practice. So he gave me a little heart to live in. Well, that's pretty grand, really. All free. And of course, it wasn't one. It didn't stay good for long because heart, restlessness, crazy moods, feelings, mood swings up and down, and stuck in this little wooden box day after day after day after day after day with no stimulation, no input, no conversation, no friends. Wooden floor, only friend with the cockroaches. I used to end up talking to them because there's some company. And you get up, what's happening today? Nothing. and tomorrow will be the same. Oh, great, that's really good. Well, you sit there and just breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. You know, and so at least you think, well, I mean, that was a bit steep maybe from beginners, but we all kind of have to make that rather rocky through that door, where suddenly the music stops. And maybe it's nice at first, you think, oh, thank goodness. Whew. Oh, that's going to leave me alone, got some quiet, and then it's sitting there. Hey. The stuff happens. But, just to knock on the door and it opens, even if what you see inside it isn't that good, well, that's something that you should try. You knocked on the door, it opened. It does open. The doors, the deathless are open, right? That phrase? If those who have faith, just that sense of courage and aspiration. And it's not a reasonable thing. It's an aspiration that comes from the depths. That's what called it. That's where it came from. You didn't know where it came. That's where it came from. And then you just got to stay with it. And you want to make sure that's something that's not such a high bar. Don't have to be calm. That may come, it may not. You don't have to be rock solid. That may happen or it may not. You don't have to stop thinking. That may happen or it may not. You don't have to have bliss of samadhi. They may happen, they may not. You're just showing up. And in fact, that's probably the first, it's just to get contented with you showing up, and you can be present. And just finding that place where you can just not be immersed in what's happening, in your contents of your mind, but not shutting it down. Just that step back. This is the beginning, disengagement, viveka. Like you're standing at the door, you open the door, there's a rather untidy mess in there. Don't close the door, don't go in, don't go out, just stand. This is where you begin. And use your body to give you support. And really bear in mind, make that place known to yourself. You can do this. And make that known, not just as an idea, but you feel your bodily presence just there. Your energies are not running forward and not going back and not jittering about trying to solve it and tidy it up. That, if you can do that for a while, even before you start getting reactive, this is to be remembered, recollected, borne in mind. And the more you bear in mind these fruits and linger on them and get the felt sense of what that was about and where that was, this is unusual territory, this territory. So it's never, we don't see it written down in How to Be a Human Being. But this is the border that is so important to know. And we're going to cross that border many times between what we call when it comes as manifesting between the inner world and the outer world, there's a border. So you want to get used to being able to stand on the border. Yeah. And find a balanced place there, not solving, not changing, not naming yourself as this or that. Breathing. 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 When I say standing, I don't necessarily mean the standing posture. Yes, when I say standing, it's a sense of the mind is standing. Upright mind is standing. It gets more upright the more you can recognize and affirm that standing, that place. At first it's just a, teetering, because you keep going into it and then moving away. It's so reactive. But if we can find that place where we're just at the border, looking into the mind stuff, not reacting, not going somewhere else, and deepen right there. This is called viveka. When the Buddha says quite secluded from unskillful states, this is what he meant. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't any. That may happen, but just at that place. And being able to hold that place and feel good about it, rather than you should be doing something, you should be sorting this out, come on, get on with it. How many times have you been told, no. Oh, look, go somewhere else. This isn't working for you at all. No. Breathing in, breathing out. And then if you do that, you begin to feel this, over time, a kind of a gradually strange strength, which is not the strength of power. It's the strength of non-defense. Strange? Not closing. Non-defense, non-aggression, non-doing, and yet to find that non-doing requires a gradual acknowledgement and balancing of your attention and your intention. Attention is the focus of the mind. It generally plunges onto an object. For daily life, that's the norm. Onto the screen, onto the business, onto what we're doing, onto normal. This attention does not plunge onto something. It opens, there's that. So we can do that. Like you're in the room, people are talking, you hear the talking, but you're not engaging in the conversation, nor are you annoyed by the conversation, nor do you feeling left out of the conversation. Just there's that. Intention is the second factor of mind, of mind's actions. There's some wish to make something happen. When does the good bit start? When do I get going on this? What's the right technique to get act upon? How long do I have to take? What kind of effort do I need? Stop. Pause. Intend to maintain balance. Till that becomes pretty established, and the way you maintain balance is by feeling in balance. You're swinging around, getting involved, getting irritated, and just you get that like this coolness. And there's a kind of sense of relief that comes from that. That's all you have to do. Sadhu. You can manage that. That's all you have to do. And of all the most difficult things human beings can do, the most difficult thing to know is what's enough. Because there's always something more we could. There's something more we could need, or something more we could do. This is enough. You stay there. This is the beginning of meditation. Sometimes you establish that, it doesn't take that much more than letting the process unfold, except perhaps a heart of sympathy. Just, this is, and a heart not sympathetic to the agitations in the mind, and also sympathetic to the qualities of endeavor that get you to that door. So it's mudita. Mudita is the one that feeds you. gives you back to yourself, gives you respect, gives you self-respect and dignity. And then when you get that, there's much less need to be a winner, because you're already getting the sense of warming. This gives us a lot of freedom from the urge to get results. Strangely enough, or maybe not strangely to you now, the urge to get results will tend to mess up the process. So anytime really, but particularly when we come to the closure of this conventional thing called the retreat, we just pause. Don't, try to avoid, if you can, too much what's going to happen next. Just sadhu. Yes, I had to go take the afternoon off to go to work. Yes, I had to attend to this. Yes, I was looking after so-and-so. Yes, I did feel really pretty bad that day, so I skipped it. But, I was trying. I had that focus in mind, and I was, according to what conditions allowed me, I was showing up for this. And then you're going to get, you always value what you have done, not lament over what you weren't able to do. Right? Just lamenting over your inabilities is not a good focus. You can only feel miserable and guilty. So try to focus on the capacities that you were gifted with, the possibilities that arose. This is a cultivation, to be a friend to yourself. And this, practice like this is that viveka, that disengagement, which means you have a choice. So you're not in a dislocated state, but you have a choice rather than thrown into actions or reactions, or you have a choice. And then clearly, there can be a firmness from that choice. I determine to not follow that. Determine to not go into that. So yes, it may start off as that non-doing, but then from there, as you feel the pulling of passions or aggression or worry, or and notice that worrying is a hindrance. It's an understandable one, but it tangles up the flow. So you think, look, I know it's difficult in a very insecure realm, external world that we're in, but just determining steady, I'll engage with what I can engage with when that possibility arises, the best I can. That's all I will ever be able to do. And for sure, in some ways, I wish it could be better. I wish I could save the entire world. And so on. But that's just determining, no, enough now. No harming, no self-wounding, enough. We've made mistakes. We've all made mistakes. We will continue to make mistakes, I'm sure. Just wounding yourself more is not going to make it any better. But maintaining balance will mean you've got less possibility of putting your foot in it somewhere or dumping your inner stuff, which is absolutely normal also. Yeah. And then, because then we're going to really see, and even to begin to look at that practice as I've tried to encourage, at the ending of every sitting or every period of formal practice, just that opening to the world, even in your little, private domain, and maybe there's the furnishings and there's the, bits and pieces, and as soon as you see it, you think, oh, wow, what's happening there? I'll tidy that up. Or you hear the knock on the door or somebody phone, just whoa, 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 stop. What you can engage with. And really, taking those 3 minutes at the end of your sitting, 5, 3, 2, I don't know, I don't count, look at the clock. If you can make it longer, even better. Just. And sometimes I've known people who don't do anything but that. Their practice is to be at the end of the sitting, right at the beginning, but they're already in that, and now, and they're just standing in that door. And that's a good practice. And if you're in an online retreat where you are in your, personal situation, where your personhood is looking back at you from the walls and the details and the history, just to stand there without, going in or out. Because what's external, that's what you're doing internally. You're looking at your personal history internally. You look outside, there it is. Right? So it's really the same practice. So don't be deceived by, we call these things internal and external, they're so vastly different. In some respects, at that threshold point, they're about the same. Because the mode of attention, we're keeping that mode of attention. And the mode of intention, we're keeping that. What makes the external world external is because your attention and intention changes. As certain things trigger a particular mode of, okay, well, that was a nice meditation, right? Better sweep up a bit, maybe have a cup of tea. The intention has changed. It's mode, hasn't it? And your attention has got to looking at details. That's what makes it external, because it's the external pointing of the mind that makes it so. Right? So in a way, there is no external, internal, really, finally. It's all happening in your mind. And yet, we call it that because that's the way it seems. And in certain, conditional experiences, we do engage with things in that external, okay, let's get this done, move on to the next thing. Yeah, that's life. And we focus on, no point going all spacious and open when you've got to do some calculations, into, unbiased awareness when you're doing an editing project. It's all perfect already. No, you have to pick up biases and preferences, and this is right and wrong. You have to go into that realm. So, but then, okay, know what you're doing. And if you get really intense about it, it's the time to just, let's just take a check for a couple of minutes on this one. Because as it gets very more intense, then what happens is, the unresolved elements of the inter begin to spill out. Because that doorway, we're no longer standing in the door, and you move into things. And what happens is you move, okay, can you get the picture? Moving into the external realm. If you go in there really intensely, you drag your interior with you, right? Don't know if you see what I mean. So what comes in is you get your intention picks up all the kind of, the anxiety tendencies, or the compulsive tendencies, or the I can't do this tendencies. All those unresolved tendencies come welling up, and you drag them out into the external domain. Right? So you see it around you. That's the thing I can't do. That's the thing I've got to do. And you see it. And it speaks to you in that way. I mean, just, I don't expect you necessarily to believe that, but I mean, I'm just placing that there for your consideration. Because this is, we're going to be moving into that external, what we call the external, that external mode of mind that generates the external reality. The external mode of mind, that particular quality of intention and attention and to mental programs, right? They come up. So, as you may or may not know, I do quite a bit of editing work, and I've done quite a lot of editing out of a sense of, devotion, gratitude, and appreciation. My teacher, Luang Por Sucitto, so I've done a lot of work like that. It started off just kind of basic, and I put more of effort into it. Yeah, that's not quite right. So I do quite a bit of work with it. The only problem is I can't read any books anymore, because as soon as I open up a book, I start looking at the punctuation. That's not very good, and that should be italicized. And it needs a new paragraph break because as soon as I see a book, that program starts. I just have to look at pictures now. And it's always critical. It's always critical. I think, I don't want to look at a Dhamma book and be critical because it's somebody's offerings, So, no, let's put it down and look at the cover instead. The programs start. It just sometimes you're just kind of poise and go back and maybe just take it softer focus. Don't look too intently. Just softer focus. The general meaning is, okay. General meaning is that. There's a particular intensity of attention and intention that seems to draw up one's psychological patterns, because the quality of intention and attention runs through all of it. That is, from the depths of silence and space, there's still attention there. There's still some intention to hold it, to be mindful of it. Any conditioned experience, there's always attention and intention in it. So that those two factors, they operate at any level, depth level, medium surface level, is still attention and intention. Sometimes we don't know what our intention is because it's so firing so fast, you can't catch up with it, but it's still running. So it's very important to begin to cultivate intention, or to notice what the intention is. And this is right view, because based upon skillful intention, skillful actions, skillful results will occur. Based upon unskillful intentions, unskillful results will occur. Yeah, it's the law of karma. And to add to that, for the contemplative, the first risky intention is to plunge into the field, where, to just plunge in without what's happening here, how am I feeling, how's that, plunge in. I often say eagerly, with good intention, I do this myself, plunge in. And then, without a full awareness, my do it programs take over, my fix it programs take over, my hurry up, get this done programs take over. And I'm not that bad a person really, but you do put your foot in it at times. Insensitive to a wider field, it becomes me. Now, of course, the challenge for all of us is life in general wants a me, wants me to be there. What's happening for you? Come on, really wants a me to get into all that. That disengagement is considered a bit sort of, what are you doing? Indifferent, cold? What's the matter with you? So, you really got to establish that, but also establish the quality of goodwill, because that intention will manifest. We think intention is what I say and what I do and how I get things done. That's true. But remember, that's just, we'll say surface attention and intention just upon things. But the really important intention is the how, the quality, with which, I say or recommend or advise or say, I'm sorry, no, the quality of metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha, sympathy. And you don't have to be that fantastic a genius. That may be your talent or whatever, but it's risky because often really, like genius is sometimes a bit difficult to live with because they're so into what they're doing, and the qualities of kindness, equanimity, mudita, they haven't got room. We've put everything onto the doing. And so there's got to be a bit of non-doing in your doing in order to get those heart qualities in there. Sympathy. And this can vary, obviously what those qualities manifest as is just your voice tone, your body language, the speed at which you do things, the way you say, well, I think this, what do you think? Or I don't know right now. I'm interested, but I don't have an answer right now. Yeah, I know that sounds difficult. I'm sorry about that, but I don't have an answer right now. So, it's not you saying, I shut up, or beats some sense of sympathy, because in this external world, the most significant thing you meet is called other people, isn't it? Yeah, and how much suffering and uncertainty and disappointment and self-criticism towards oneself gets generated around this experience. I really wasn't good enough for him. I let her down. I couldn't be there for my dad. I'm the one my mother never really wanted. I could have done better for my sister, but I was too careless. Anybody not have any wounds on that score? Anybody not hurt another person? Verbally, sometimes physically, verbally probably, emotionally, just being gruff, aggressive, dismissive. Anybody not hurt anybody? Anybody not been hurt? The sign of other people, that experience. And if when you in your practice, you try to, your meditation practice, I'm saying, sort of bring that sign in. Other people in general, when you just get the general sense of somebody else here, how does that do? Do you feel you've got to sort of shape up a bit, or retract, or withdraw, or do something for them? Can you just be present? There is another. and then stop, disengage, and so there's another. And if you want to make this deliberate practice, refrain, just like me, has suffering, just like me, has unresolved material, just like me, gets hurt, just like me, gets careless, just like me, wants sympathy, just like me, has wounds, just like me. A little recitation that you can bear in mind. When you're sitting on your own, just bring them in. And you can choose a particular person, bring it into your mind. And just that, who knows what karma they had? So, of course, in a way, they're not like you. This was a man, I'm a woman. He wasn't like me. No, not on the surface he wasn't. That's the problem with surfaces. We all look different. And even in depth, you can say, yeah, well, I don't have those kind of aggressive tendencies. Just wait. You probably might find a few stick around. I mean, even a beetle has aggressive tendencies if you push it into a corner. Even a slug. You got them somewhere. If you poke hard enough. So why is this person so great? Well, they've probably been poked quite a lot, so it's come up, or that's the way they've learned, or that's the way they defended themselves against other people, or they were in the army, for goodness sake, so they were taught to be aggressive. That was the mode of behavior, brutalized, or they were stories. Now, you don't have to go through that kind of list of apologize, explain, just, this quality, what has arisen? This quality has arisen. I feel threatened. That has arisen. That's true, isn't it? Now, whether it's because of him or because of you, or because that quality has arisen. I feel threatened. Let's just stop there. Okay, breathing in, breathing out, returning to center. Uju, upright. Sympathy. I mean no harm. It's and that can play out in the in the external fear. I think people are often asking about this time when I was attacked in India, and I've told it so many times I get a bit embarrassed by it, as if it's some massive feat. But for those of you who are not aware, I was on pilgrimage, walking pilgrim in India, and I'm attacked by 5 bandits with sticks and cudgels and axes. So I tried to give them my belongings. They thinking I'm trying to run away. So one guy there, 3 of them hold me, and one guy gets his axe and aims to swing it at my head. So you've got 3 people holding you. And there's not really a lot of wriggle room on that. So, we all have to die. So maybe this is it. So this is I'm not thinking this at this speed, it's just immediate reflex. Go to center. Go to center, straight. Okay. No fear, whatever. And that quality of that, somehow you feel that the emotional intensity of the situation just dropped. So I did it again. I said, if you want to kill me, it's up to you. It won't take long. Just get there. The guy backs off, doesn't know what to do. Because if you want to kill me, it doesn't take long, really. You've got an axe. It's just telling the truth, that's all. Oh, I'm not going to do much of it. So you stand in your truth. And it's got a cooling effect. And, when I think of it in bigger terms, this people are, they're living these are probably outcasts, living in poverty, in a rough area, forest, They've got no means of livelihood. They see somebody come along, looks like he's a Westerner, must have lots of money somewhere. Let's get a hold of him. Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. So I'm not going to be indignant about it. Why bother? Just let it go. So you cultivating this point, because if you don't return to center, what will happen is your triggered reflexes take over. They throw you out into the you shouldn't. I mean no harm. I'm peaceful. Leave me alone. The intensity just builds up, and people lose their balance in that. And people start, this is where the violence really gets going. You're cooling the field, and that's what the upright axis does. It cools the field of reactivity, and that's our task, internally and externally. And so with wisdom, you can also begin to recognize, this is not a person that's happening right now. What's happening is threat. Now I can say that person, but really right on the point of what's happening is threat. Okay. Meet that. And of course, there are many things. What's happening now is being dissed. Dumped, dismissed. What's that? And of course, this is where your wounds start speaking, don't they? In the presence of the other, because that's where they came from. Most of our suffering is relational. That's where they came from. So the perception of the other sometimes triggers these. And your old wounds open up. I'm not listened to. I'm inadequate. People don't like me, or I've got to. And so really, in a way, other people are a great meditation practice, because that's where we will witness these powerful reflexes. And if we want to really get liberated, these are the ones we want to just acknowledge and clear our outgoing on them. The rest of it's just formal exercise. Okay, nice. You can sit and get quiet. Very nice. Lovely. Very good. You can focus on this particular point. Yes. Very nice. But can you meet the stuff that wells up when you see your family? This is the PhD stuff. With a mind of equanimity, compassion, and gladness. If you can, wow, big sadhu to you. Fantastic. That. Or when you go to your workplace and the old, can you maintain that there? The workplaces where we have to get things done. Can you go there with the mind that says, don't have to get things done. We'll just start playing and see what happens. Just checking these intentionalities. And we're getting a bit intense here. Let's just go a couple of minutes just back to the upright axis. Breathe out. And, if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Somebody like it, somebody won't like it. Let's just bring forth the good for the sake of bringing forth the good. And, then you're bringing forth the beauty of your depth. Not the wounds of it. And this is the incredible joy. So you don't, obviously most of you don't have dialogue with the people who are managing this retreat. But every one of them is just experiencing, it's hard work, it's a lot of work, I tell you. I can't keep up with it. The skills there are just, to me, prodigious. And they're not, they're just volunteers. And a quality of joy and gladness experiencing through that service. That's really, I think, bringing the beauty out of the mind, and offering that into the world. I always say it's very difficult to have not been loved, but it's even more difficult to not be able to express one's love in some way. And Dhamma work is love made visible. Even it's just kind of changing a comma into a semicolon. It's that, because that's what I'm doing it for. Just out of that, I offer. So we can enter that external field, bringing our parami with us, our accumulated virtues with us. And then the world changes. Now, the real problem for the unawakened being is that the sign of the other, that sign of the threat or the whatever, and often the object of passion, wow, look at her, wow, passion. That sign, we think it is with the mind assumes that is the person. That is the person. That's not that is the person. That's when the intentions immediately run out and saturated that experience. This is called papancha, proliferation or objectification. And around this, modestly, it's just the average stuff that happens between people. We see them as in accordance with our, things, our mind states, our whatever, and it can get very, very difficult, as we see, the racism, people's fear, and whatever goes into that, all these ways that divide people are when they're uncleaned inner depths start swelling over and soaking people. Around this, cultures are eradicated. Genocides occur because those people are just dumb savages getting in the way. Genocides occur. Wars occur. Those Jews who are, purifying, impurities to the race. People project whatever it is, their fear or their despair or the irritation or anger onto the other. And of course, passions, rape, the kind of objectification of female form, some kind of commodity. So this is serious, isn't it? Big stuff can happen around that. People lose their ethical center, lose their moral responsibility because there's no sympathetic resonance between two poles, me and the other. There's just an immediate projection, not of my uprightness, but of my confusion onto the other. And then once that's happened, it's really frightening what people can do from that place. They've lost their axis altogether. And then it's just, the stories. So that's what we need to maintain, because you just see how bad it can get when you witness human history and social problems. The them and the them. And a good thing to little remind us, there's no such thing as you, really. There's no such thing as you. There's I and there's we. I is very normal. We is blessing. Absolutely. You can almost hear that when I say that word, you. You know, be careful with that one. Even when, you feel, whatever it is from another person, I feel this, I feel that. And, so you might say, how's that for you? Obviously you can use the word, but be very aware and use it like as a suggestion or a question. Could you tell me what's happening? So that we can become we, rather than be stuck in this I, you thing. Kalyanamitta, spiritual friendship, is that. You don't have to be an arahant. You don't have to be a saint to be a friend. You just have to be somebody who's prepared to be part of a we in that, and that requires respectful, empathic space. There's a lovely reflection, or the Buddha talked about the good friendship and the good friend many, many times. Many times. This is one of the requirements for the first level of liberation, stream entry, is you have a spiritual friend. You must begin to, how else you're going to see your stuff, except if someone you trust, and you can bring forth your goodness, and you can experience compassion for your weakness, not lectures. He said this, you can look at it in many ways, but he said there's sometimes 7 qualities he talked about. He said, okay, first quality is, if you want to be a good friend, do what's difficult to do. Give what's difficult to give. Give your attention, give your patience, give your time. Do what's difficult to do. Reach out a little bit. Walk the extra half mile. Make an effort for the welfare of another. You won't regret it. Endure what's difficult to endure. If they give you harsh words, bear with it. That's kind of what happens. We do empty our stuff onto others. Be someone who says, okay, you're upset. Okay, not going to blame you for that. You share your intimacies, your depth with them. You trust them enough to share your heart. When they share theirs with you, you keep confidence. You don't just throw it out on the grapevine. It's a treasure, and others trust. You don't scatter their depth to all and sundry. You keep it sealed. When they fail, you don't give up. You don't despise them. And when they completely lose it, seemingly, you don't turn away. So these are the qualities you should look for if you seek a friend. And if you're a wise, careful person, you should seek a friend. The Buddha described himself as a friend to all. I find no fault with the world finds fault with me. I've laid down the rod of harming to other creatures. People attack me, and they did. I put aside revenge. People do that to me. I do not follow that behavior. This is the way we cultivate or remember our possibilities. In this way, you will certainly strengthen, live up to what's best in yourself, be a blessing to others, and live without regret. And be able to see these corrupting influences that cloud our eyes and smother our hearts. See them, acknowledge them, and just put that, return to the upright. Let's put that, the intentions, the energies down. Speak from a place of compassion. Find the we. Yeah. How can we resolve this? Get through this? If that's possible, you have a friend. Definitely. If you can, that's it, really. And sometimes it's not possible. You put down, but the other person isn't capable. And so, okay, well, that's, the world finds fault with me. I open the door, they close theirs. Okay, it's difficult, but return. Don't lose the heart of goodwill, heart of sympathy. It's a treasure. So let's pause there for this particular teaching session, these string of words, and I hope something's been there for you that, can shine a light, resonance. Perhaps not all of it does, but maybe one or two phrases might help to, be worth storing. Or the effect of it. Remember, it's not the words, it's where they go, really. Where they go, that's you. It's this little being here saying some words. The big thing is what in you picks that up, and where does it go? That's yours. Right? And if any of this has come across, yeah, that's beautiful. So take that in and treasure that receptivity, that taste of freedom.
Annamayang Dhammakataya Sadhu Karanga Dhammaste Sadhu 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 Anumodani.
Okay, so dear friends, offer you some quiet time to reflect and continue tuning into your Dhamma practice in your own style, your own form. And maybe we could get back together again in an hour's time, spend the last 30 minutes sitting quietly together. And moderating the quality of intention. So as you're sitting, trying to sense particularly the spinal axis, from the sacrum up to the base of the head. particularly aware of what happens in the neck, just practice making a strong intention, a will to do, really want to do. See if you feel any changes. Relax that. Widen attention. So if you feel the will to overcome an obstacle or defend ourselves, a strong push of will. And that affects the body, particularly the head. Widen your attention, include the entire body, and relax it. Keeping aware of the body, a sense of welcoming, greeting, welcoming. You might pick up an image of a friend or an animal or a sunny day or something you feel you can just naturally open to how that affects your body. Your attention widens. And bring up an image, if you will, which is we find just lovable in a simple, enjoying way. It can be often, animals do that for us, or little children. Metta. Notice how your body moves from the bones into the tissues, energy softening the tissues, the feeling of softer material in that body. It's not difficult to move from there to recognizing the vulnerability, sensitivity, the vulnerability of creatures, children, soft-skinned, vulnerability. Feel the shifting into the flesh, into the tissues, warming, widening. Karuna, compassion. Moving into awareness of the strength, the dignity, the beauty, the skill of another, that sense of the value, the other as value. Any feature, any quality, the other as a sign of value, model, mudita. And finally, if there is a final to anything, giving permission to the other to be as they are, without closing, turning away, just staying present with the other as they are, as they change. So it's a long, very wide focus, allowing change. Sensitive but not interfering. Make sure it doesn't just go into like indifference, but really was offering that quality as permission, as blessing. So it is still is that sensitive engagement with a lot of space in it. You can pick up these subtle intentions. Is it possible to turn those intentions towards this being, towards yourself? Any feature. Whether that's near or far, past, emotional, intellectual, physical, appreciating one's well-being, such as it is, one's clarity, such as it is. Equanimity, giving space, I will grow. This will ripen, just offering that space for unpredictable fruition. So as we've been training, just opening the sense fields, trying to keep any of those atmospheres lingering, resting in those atmospheres, any one of them. So I'm taking leave to withdraw my presence at this time and offer you the space to continue as you see fit.